My wife deleted my game saves as a joke. After a bad day, so I deleted her from my life and never looked back. I'm a 33-year-old guy, and gaming has always been my way to unwind after long days. Not in the escape from reality sense people joke about, but genuinely, it's how I recharge. I work in IT, 12-hour shifts most days, fixing problems no one else wants to deal with. When I get home, my brain feels like static, my body heavy from sitting too long. But the moment I power on that console, the noise quiets. The loading screen hum, the soft glow of the TV, the click of the controller, that's my peace. My wife, Madison, never really got it, but I thought that was fine. We've been married 5 years. She's 30, confident, sharp, always moving a mile a minute. We used to joke that I was the anchor and she was the storm. Lately, though, the storm had been stronger than usual. Her job's been draining her. Long hours, toxic boss, endless stress. She'd come home exhausted, sometimes snapping over small things, and I'd just let her. I figured everyone gets overwhelmed sometimes. I tried to be the steady one. Cleaning up, cooking dinner, paying bills on time, keeping things together. I didn't mind. That's what marriage is, right? Picking up the slack when your partner falls behind. The only thing I really kept for myself was gaming. A few quiet hours after she went to bed, headset on, late-night lobbies, old friends laughing over bad aim and dumb jokes. That was my sanctuary, my reset button. Sometimes she'd glance at me from the couch and sigh, like she was watching a child play instead of her husband relax. I laughed it off. I told myself she was just tired. I didn't realize it yet, but something in her had started to resent how easily I could find peace. I didn't know the thing that kept me sane would become the target of her cruelty. That morning started like any other, but there was something off. I woke up to the sound of dishes clattering in the kitchen, too harsh, too loud for a Sunday. When I walked in, Madison was standing over the sink, scrubbing a plate like it had insulted her. Her hair was a mess, eyes red, jaw tight. I asked softly, "Rough night?" She didn't look up. "Rough life," she muttered. I tried to joke, lighten the mood. "Well, I can't fix life, but I can make coffee." She didn't even smile. The silence stretched between us like barbed wire. As I poured her a cup, she slammed a drawer shut and said, "You always have time for your games, but never for me." That stung. I set the mug down and asked what she meant. She turned on me, eyes sharp. "You come home, plug into that stupid console, and tune out. I sit here alone while you hide in your fake world." "I'm not hiding," I said, trying to stay calm. "I'm just trying to relax after work." "It's not like I ignore you," she cut me off, voice rising. "You think I don't work hard? You think I don't need to relax too?" Her tone was different this time. Not frustrated, but cruel. I could feel the anger wasn't about me gaming. It was about something deeper. Something she wasn't saying. I offered to watch a movie, order her favorite takeout, but she waved me off, muttering that she'd lost her appetite for everything lately. I wanted to reach her, but every word I said just made her colder. Eventually, I went quiet. I figured I'd give her space, that she'd cool off by evening. I didn't realize this silence wasn't healing anything. It was feeding something in her I couldn't see. That night, as I played alone in the dark, I could feel her eyes on me from the hallway, watching, simmering, waiting. The next day started normal enough. I left early for work, gave Madison a quick kiss on the cheek, and she seemed fine, or at least calmer. She even smiled faintly and said, "Maybe I'll clean up a bit today." I remember feeling relieved, thinking maybe things were smoothing out. I was wrong. Around lunchtime, I got a text from her. "Hey, I fixed your problem." I stared at it, confused. "What problem?" I typed back, but she didn't answer. Hours passed, and I forgot about it. Just another one of her cryptic messages. When I got home that evening, she was curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone, looking smug. I said, "Hey, what did you mean by fixing my problem?" She smirked and nodded toward my console. "You'll see." I felt a strange chill crawl up my spine. I turned it on and froze. Every save file, gone. Years of progress. Dozens of games, stories, memories, wiped clean. I just stared, my heart pounding in my ears. "What did you do?" I whispered. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Relax! It's just a joke. You're always so uptight about that thing. I thought maybe you'd finally go outside or something." My throat went dry. I couldn't even speak for a moment. "You deleted everything," I finally said, my voice shaking. Those weren't just games, Maddie. That was— Oh, come on, she interrupted, rolling her eyes. You're acting like I burned down your house. I just stood there, feeling something inside me crack. It wasn't about the data, it was about what it meant. That she knew it would hurt me and did it anyway. I couldn't tell if she wanted to teach me a lesson or prove that she could control what made me happy. She smiled and said, "You'll thank me one day." But as I stared at the empty screen, one thought hit me like a blade. This wasn't a joke. It was a warning. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there staring at the blank screen, the faint hum of the console sounding almost like mockery. Madison laughed again, this short, sharp laugh that didn't sound like her. It sounded mean. "God, you're so dramatic," she said, taking out her phone. "I should record this. People would lose it over how attached you are to your toys." My stomach turned. "Don't," I said quietly. But she hit record anyway. Camera pointed straight at me as I sat frozen, trying not to crumble. "Say hi to the internet, gamer boy," she joked, voice dripping with sarcasm. I finally snapped. "What's wrong with you? Why would you even do this?" My voice cracked halfway through, and that just made her smirk harder. "Because I'm tired, okay?" She snapped back. Tired of coming home to a husband who'd rather talk to his console than to me. "Maybe this will make you wake up and grow up." I took a step closer. "Deleting something I love doesn't fix anything." "You could have talked to me," she scoffed. "Talked? You never listen. You hide in that stupid world instead of dealing with real life. Maybe this is the only way to get through to you." I wanted to argue, to defend myself, but I realized she wasn't trying to communicate. She was trying to hurt. I could see it in her eyes, the satisfaction. The way she tilted her head, waiting for me to break so she could feel justified. That was the moment something shifted in me. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just looked at her and said, "If you wanted to destroy something, congratulations. You did." Her smile faltered for a split second, but then she laughed again, softer this time. "You'll get over it," she said. Maybe I would. But that night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I realized something chilling. This wasn't the first time she'd found joy in watching me hurt. It was just the first time I'd finally seen it for what it was. The next morning, I woke up with that same heavy feeling pressing against my chest. Madison was humming in the kitchen like nothing had happened. The smell of coffee filled the air, but it didn't feel comforting. It felt wrong, like she was trying to rewrite the night before. I sat at the table, staring at her. "You're really not sorry, are you?" I finally asked. She didn't even look up from her phone. "For what? For making you realize life exists outside of a screen?" It hit me then. This wasn't new. This was just another chapter in a pattern I'd been too blind to name. The time she accidentally threw away my signed vinyl collection because it was cluttering the living room. The way she'd roll her eyes if I mentioned hanging out with friends, calling them man-children. The night she joked to her coworkers about how I probably cry when I lose a match. It wasn't just teasing. It was erosion. Slow, deliberate erosion of who I was. I remember one evening months ago when I'd gotten a small promotion at work. I came home excited, ready to celebrate, but she barely looked up from her laptop. "That's nice," she said flatly. "Can you take out the trash?" No congratulations. No pride, just dismissal. I told myself she was tired. I kept telling myself that for years. Now, watching her sip her coffee, pretending to scroll through her phone, I finally saw it. Every small insult, every joke, every belittling comment wasn't accidental. It was intentional. Control disguised as sarcasm. I stood up without touching my coffee. "You know, Madison," I said quietly, "I've spent years thinking I wasn't enough for you, but maybe you just liked making me feel small." She smirked, not even looking at me. "Don't be so dramatic, babe. You're overthinking it." Maybe I was. But in that moment, I made a silent promise. Next time she tried to tear me down, I'd stop standing in the rubble and start walking away from it. A few nights later, Madison fell asleep on the couch with her tablet still unlocked. I wasn't snooping. I just went to plug it in so it wouldn't die. But when the screen lit up, a message preview caught my eye. It was from one of her coworkers, Sophie. Did he cry again? My stomach twisted. I knew better than to look further, but I couldn't stop myself. I opened the chat. There it was. A whole group thread named Mad Support Squad. And the messages, they made my blood run cold. Screenshots of me from her phone. One of me gaming, Another of me looking confused after she'd deleted my saves. Comments from her friends. Girl, he looks like he's about to cry. Tell him to go outside and touch grass. Honestly, I'd lose respect too if my husband acted like that. Then I saw Madison's replies, cruel, smug, and dripping with mockery. He actually begged me to stop recording. It was hilarious. I swear he treats those games like children. Maybe it'll teach him to grow up. I just stood there staring at the screen, my pulse thundering in my ears. It wasn't just her anymore. She'd turned me into a joke for her audience. The woman I married was publicly humiliating me for entertainment. When I finally set the tablet down, my hands were shaking. Madison stirred on the couch and mumbled, "What are you doing?" I swallowed hard and said, "Nothing. Just plugging your tablet in." I went to our bedroom and sat in the dark, staring at the wall. The betrayal burned hotter than anything she'd done before. It wasn't about the games now, it was about dignity. About respect. About realizing the person you share your life with secretly despises you. That night, something inside me went quiet. The part of me that still wanted to fix us, to reason with her, it just shut off. If she saw me as a joke, then fine. I'd play along, but next time, I'd be the one writing the ending. After that night, I didn't confront her. I didn't yell, accuse, or demand answers. I just went quiet, completely quiet. Something about silence unsettled her more than anger ever could. Madison started watching me carefully, like she was trying to figure out what I knew. I smiled when she spoke, agreed when she complained, nodded at all the right times. Inside, though, I was already gone. At work, I started researching legal separation, bank transfers, and apartment listings. I met with a lawyer during lunch breaks and asked all the questions I never thought I'd have to ask. It felt surreal, planning an escape from my own home. But for the first time in years, I felt control creeping back into my life. At night, I'd still sit at my console, pretending to play. The screen would flicker with menu options while I just stared at my reflection. Madison would walk past and say, "You're really going back to that thing after everything?" And I'd shrug, forcing a laugh. Guess I'm hopeless. She didn't realize I wasn't playing anymore. I was waiting for the right moment to make my move. Sometimes, she'd try to pick fights just to get a reaction, accuse me of being distant, ask if I was still mad about the stupid saves. I'd tell her no, that I was over it. That lie must have sounded like music to her ears because she started acting smug again, almost relaxed. But beneath the calm, I was setting everything in motion. Separate accounts, digital backups, copies of important documents. Every detail of my life was being quietly removed from hers, piece by piece, like a save file being exported before deletion. She thought the silence meant forgiveness. But it wasn't peace. It was precision. And the day she finally laughed again, thinking she'd won, was the day I knew I was ready to leave her without a single word. It happened on a Friday night. I'd just finished another long week, trying to keep my head down while the pieces of my plan quietly fell into place. Madison had been drinking, wine, mostly, and her laughter drifted through the house, brittle and mean. I stayed in my corner of the living room, headset on, pretending to play while I waited for her to fall asleep. But that night she didn't ignore me. She had something new in mind. She staggered over, phone in hand, and said with that smirk I'd grown to hate, "If you're gonna act like a child, might as well make it entertaining." Before I could react, she hit the record button and pointed the camera at me. "Say hi to my followers, gamer boy." I froze. "Madison, stop!" She laughed, leaning closer. "No, come on. Everyone loves a little comedy. Look at him, so serious. You'd think he's fighting for his life in that stupid game." I pulled the headset off. "Turn it off." "I'm serious. Relax," she said, her words slurring slightly. "I'm just streaming. They love when I mess with you." I looked at the live comments scrolling across her phone, strangers typing "LOL poor guy" and "he looks like he's about to cry." The room felt smaller, the air heavier. My throat went dry as humiliation crawled under my skin. I reached out and snatched the phone from her hand. "Enough," she blinked, genuinely surprised for once. "What's your problem?" "My problem," I said quietly, "is that I married someone who enjoys watching me break." She scoffed, rolling her eyes. "You're so dramatic." I didn't argue. I just walked to the bedroom and shut the door behind me. On the other side, I could hear her laughing again, but it sounded hollow now, like even she didn't believe it. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty, completely drained. Whatever love I had left for her had evaporated in that moment, replaced with nothing but silence and finality. That was the night I hit rock bottom, and the night I decided I'd never let her see me break again. The next morning, the house felt eerily still, sunlight cutting through the blinds like thin knives across the living room floor. Madison was passed out on the couch, the remnants of her fun night still scattered around, an empty wine bottle, her phone face down, the faint glow of the paused live stream still on screen. I stood there for a long moment, just watching her sleep, realizing how alien she looked to me now. There was no love left, just calculation. I made myself a cup of coffee, slow and deliberate, like I had all the time in the world. Then I got to work. First, I went into the office and grabbed the manila folder I'd been building for weeks. Legal documents, account statements, passwords, backup drives. Every trace of my life that had once been intertwined with hers was already copied and protected. Then I transferred the remaining balance from our joint account, her half neatly left behind, and closed it. Next, I canceled the utilities, subscriptions, and lease renewals all under my name. Every click felt like exhaling a little more poison. By noon, I had packed everything that was mine: my clothes, my console, my tools, and the framed photo of my late father. Everything else could rot in that house with her pride. Before I left, I placed one final thing on the kitchen counter, an envelope containing signed divorce papers and a simple note that read, "You deleted my saves. I'm just returning the favor, no anger, no goodbye, just the truth." I took one last look at the house, at the couch where she'd laughed at me, at the screen that once brought me peace, and then I walked out without a sound. As the door clicked shut behind me, it didn't feel like leaving. It felt like waking up from a nightmare I hadn't realized I was living in. For the first time in years, there was silence. Real silence. And it wasn't empty. It was freedom. It didn't take long for the fallout to begin. By the time I reached my new apartment, a small one-bedroom overlooking a quiet street, my phone was already buzzing nonstop. Dozens of missed calls. Dozens of texts. Madison's tone shifted with every message. First came anger. "You think you can just walk out like that? You're pathetic." Then disbelief. "Where are you? We can talk about this." Then desperation. "Please, I didn't mean it. It was just a stupid joke. You're overreacting." I didn't respond to any of them. I just sat on the floor among my boxes, letting the weight of peace settle into my chest for the first time in years. But the silence didn't last long. That same night, my buddy Jason sent me a screenshot from social media. Madison had gone live again, this time crying, saying her husband abandoned her over video games. The comments were brutal. People started remembering her old clips, the ones where she'd mocked me. Someone even found the live stream where she humiliated me and re-uploaded it with the caption, "This aged badly." Within days, her follower count tanked. Brands she'd been trying to partner with backed out. Even her so-called support squad group chat turned against her, screenshots leaked, and suddenly she was the villain in the very story she'd tried to control. Jason called me. Half laughing, half sympathetic. "Dude, Karma's doing speedruns now." I just smiled. Guess she shouldn't have deleted the save. File. Madison tried reaching. Out again after that. Long emails about how she just needed attention, how she wanted to make us stronger. But there was nothing left to fix. I didn't need revenge. Watching her reputation collapse under the weight of her own cruelty was enough. The irony wasn't lost on me. The woman who craved attention finally got it, just not the kind she wanted. And for the first time in years, I slept through the night. No controller, no noise, no pain. Just quiet satisfaction. Months passed. The chaos faded like background noise, replaced by something I hadn't felt in years. Quiet. Real, steady quiet. My new apartment was small, just a single bedroom with creaky floors and beige walls, but it felt like mine. Every inch of it breathed peace. No tension in the air. No eggshells to walk on. Just space to exist. I started doing things I hadn't done in forever, cooking real meals, calling old friends, reading at night without waiting for a fight to start. Therapy helped too. My therapist asked me once, "When did you stop feeling like yourself?" And I realized I didn't have an answer. Madison had chipped away at me so gradually that I didn't notice I'd become a ghost of who I was. Now, little by little, I was loading that person back in. One weekend, I bought a new console. It sat unopened for a week because I was scared, not of her, but of what it represented. It wasn't just about gaming anymore. It was about reclaiming something she'd stolen, my right to enjoy life without shame. When I finally plugged it in, the screen flickered to life, humming softly. I created a new profile, a blank slate. No saves, no history, no corrupted data, just potential. As I played that first game, I didn't think about Madison. I didn't think about what she'd destroyed. I thought about peace, about small moments of joy that didn't need validation. Every sound, every light from the screen felt different now, cleaner somehow. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled for real. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about recovery. I'd lost hundreds of hours in those deleted files, but in exchange, I'd gained something worth far more. A chance to rebuild without someone trying to break me. A new save file. A new life. And this time, I wasn't sharing the controller. It's strange how life feels after the storm passes. Some mornings I'd wake up expecting to hear her voice, the sharp tone, the passive-aggressive sighs, but all I heard was the hum of the fridge and the faint traffic outside. Freedom has a sound. It's quiet, steady, and it doesn't apologize for taking up space. A few months after I'd settled in, I got an email from Madison. The subject line read, "Please read this." I almost deleted it right away, but curiosity won for a moment. Her message started with the usual words, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was just stressed." Paragraphs of excuses disguised as reflection. She said deleting my game saves was a cry for help, that she wanted my attention, that she never realized how much it would hurt. But buried near the end was one line that stuck with me. "You always seemed happier in your games than with me," and I hated that. That was the truth she'd never said out loud. She didn't destroy my saves out of boredom or cruelty. She did it because she couldn't stand that I'd found peace without her. I didn't reply. I read the email once, let out a long breath, and hit delete. That night, I turned on my console again. The glow of the screen filled the room in soft blues and whites. A new game. A blank world. I pressed new save. The controller vibrated softly, like a heartbeat starting fresh. As the opening cutscene played, I thought about everything I'd lost and realized none of it mattered anymore. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't escaping. I was choosing. Some people break what they can't control. Others rebuild what was never truly lost. And as the story began, I whispered to myself, "This time, I'm playing for me."